How's it going, everybody? I hope you guys are having a great day today. In today's episode, we are going to be talking all about living on the east side of Bend versus the west side. If you've traveled to Bend or you're thinking about moving here, you've definitely heard about the differences, or maybe you haven't heard about them. But either way, as someone who's lived on both the west side and the east side, I'm going to take time to cover everything you need to know, the pros, the cons, and maybe a few things you didn't know. So if you're thinking about making that move or you're relocating, definitely stay tuned for this video. Before we jump in, my name is Brett Williams. I'm a realtor here with Engel & Volker downtown Bend, and I run this channel, Modern Living Oregon. In addition to the videos that I make right here, I also have a weekly newsletter, as well as a website with a bunch of blogs on it. Really, my goal is to provide you with the most information about moving to Bend. My goal is to not only teach you about Central Oregon and all of the areas around it, but really to make your relocation process simple. I've got people kind of calling me and texting me from all over the country that are looking to make a big lifestyle change by moving into Bend. And for a lot of people, the goals are very similar. They're wanting to change up their lifestyle. They really love the outdoors and they want to take full advantage of that. So if you're in a similar boat and you have any questions about making the move here, feel free to call, text, email, does not matter. You can call me anytime of the day. I'm always strapped to the phone. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video. All right, so now that we got the boring stuff out of the way, let's break down a little bit of information about both the west side and the east side. For those of you that don't know much about Bend, Bend is split down the middle by Highway 97, also known as the Parkway. So on the east side of town, you're gonna have definitely a different atmosphere than on the west side of town. I'll start by breaking down the west side because I think that's probably the most popular section. And I'm gonna give you just a brief scenario of kind of what to expect living on the west side. All right, so if you visited Bend, you've definitely been on the west side. It's where the downtown Bend is, it's where the box factory is, the old mill district. Basically all of the amenities within Bend are on the west side. You've got Mount Bachelor within 30 minutes away. You've also got the Chutes River Trail, the Whitewater Park where you can surf on the river. Basically, if there's tourism, it's probably on the west side of town. The east side, on the other hand, is completely different. It feels more like just your run-of-the-mill town, but it's where a lot of the primary resident Bendites live. So you're gonna have a lot more tract housing, you're gonna have more new construction, but at the same time, you're also gonna have some small ranches, you're gonna have a ton of mountain views out there, and really it's just a completely different style of living. And I find that even though the west side has more amenities, some people just fit better in on the east side, and that's just kind of how it's unfolded over the years. So let's break down some of the pros and cons. Starting with the west side. We've all been on the west side and the pros are pretty obvious. Starting off, if you like to be close to the action, you want to be close to downtown, if you're a big walker or you're a biker or you're pretty artistic and you like to be next to a lot of people, the west side of Bend can be great. Old Bend and River West especially are gonna have a lot more of your short-term rentals. You're gonna have a lot of, I would say, artists and just very free-spirited type of people. If you just drive through the neighborhoods, you'll definitely get a sense of what I'm talking about. If you go over to Summit West and kind of the Aubrey Butte area, that's gonna be more of your vacation homes. A lot of those properties may not be lived in all the time. And on top of that, it's definitely more of a luxury living. So you got Broken Top over there, you got Northwest Crossing, you've got Three Pines, you've got Aubrey Butte and Tetherow. The list can go on and on, but really that northwest section of the west side of Bend is gonna be more of that luxury living. So the pros are, you could just keep stacking them on, but I think you guys probably get the point if you've been to Bend. And if I don't answer something, just comment down below. The cons are pretty short. You know, what the west side of Bend is super awesome, and there's a reason it's so popular. It's more desirable, but one major pro, and this depends on who you are, could be cost of living. For a lot of people, the cost of living has shot up over the last 10 years, especially the last 5. And for some people, it's just priced them out. Sadly, that's just kind of how things have unfolded with relocation and different types of people moving in. I would say in order to get a really solid home within the west side of Bend, you're gonna need about 700,000. There's some parts in Old Bend and River West where you might be able to get into a really small property, but even that's probably gonna start in the sixes, so it's definitely more expensive overall. Other than that, there aren't many cons. It's honestly a really nice place to live. I lived in Northwest Crossing for a few years. It's a great spot. Some of the neighbors can be a little bit more stingy or uptight than some of the neighbors you'll find on the east side, but that's really case to case, so I'm not gonna say that's just a main con of living on the west side. So on the east side of town, it really comes down to a few pros and cons. One of the major pros about living on the east side is it's gonna be more relaxed. You're gonna have more housing options. It's gonna be more affordable. And overall, you're still only gonna be within 10 or 15 minutes from all the action. So if you live on the far southeast section in the old farm district, you're still only gonna be a 12-minute drive from downtown Bend. And really, you're not that separated. The only thing is you're not right in the action like some parts of West Bend are. On top of that, another pro, you're close to a lot of the major shopping. So if you're big into Costco and Whole Foods, you're gonna be a few minutes away from that pretty much anywhere on the east side unless you're way up north. On top of that, the hospital's over there, so if you work at any of the St. Charles facilities, you're gonna have direct access to that and probably only be 5 minutes away from that. Other than that, the east side has its own attraction. If you're a laid back person, if you want views of the mountains, maybe you want a small working farm or ranch, the east side has that. It's not gonna be crazy affordable, but it's gonna be more affordable than the west side overall. So I broke down the numbers recently, and these aren't exactly perfect data, but it gives you a sense. When we talk about the west side versus the east side, luxury gets brought up a lot. And this data was pretty interesting to me. So last year, we sold 250 properties in Bend that were over $1 million on the west side. On the east side, you sold about 59 to 60. So there is definitely a difference in terms of the properties you're gonna find on both sides, but they have their pros and cons. Other than just the pros of the east side, there are some cons. So obviously you're not gonna be as close to Mount Bachelor, you're not gonna be as close to the Deschutes River, and it is gonna be a little more separated from downtown Bend, but those are the main cons. It definitely has a different feel, and I think the best way to kind of understand that is to come to Bend for a week or so and really go through all of the different neighborhoods on the east side during different types of day. Don't come on the weekend because it kind of gives you an unrealistic look. If you're coming on a Sunday evening, it's not gonna be the same as it is on a Monday morning. And it's definitely a smart move if you're thinking about moving, especially state to state, to really take time to go through and kind of look through your options. If you have any questions of where to tour on either the west side or the east side, feel free to just email me, hey, here's my budget, here's what I want, and I'll put together a big guide for you. But really that's gonna be the best way to kind of tackle the whole area within Bend. So that was a little bit about the introduction of the east and west side, as well as some pros and cons. I feel like that kind of gives just a general sense of what to expect in terms of lifestyle and what it's like to live there. My personal thoughts, I lived on the west side and the east side. It really comes down to where you are, what neighborhood you're in, and what particular house you live in. Personally, if I was gonna choose and I had the option to live on either side, the west side's gonna win for me. That's just the truth. I like the west side. I lived there for 3 or 4 years. I live on the east side now. I still think the west side's nice. It's just a convenience factor of being closer. And I mean, for the most part, I had really nice neighbors. There were some people I didn't necessarily love, but I didn't really talk to them much, so it wasn't a big issue. And overall, I loved the west side, but now living on the east side, I think it's different, it's slower, and it doesn't feel like you're in Bend as much. But at the same time, you drive 10 minutes down the road and you're in Bend. So kind of pick and choose kind of what I'm talking about here. If this resonates at all or helps, let me know. Feel free to subscribe to this channel. And if at this point of the video, if you want to tune off, that's fine, but I'm going to talk about some of the data in terms of median home prices and what to expect in purchasing a home on either side of town. So breaking down the numbers on the median home price within the west side and the east side, it's a pretty good outlook in terms of what to expect cost-wise. So right now, the median home price within Bend is about $562,000. And on the east side, it's going to be a little less than that. On the west side, it's going to be a little bit more. The actual data is you can find it, and it's pretty accurate. But for the most part, I would say homes on the east side are gonna range from about $350 starting price. It never ends up right now being around a closed price of $350, but expect to find some stuff that pops on the market around $350, and then that'll go up, you know, it can go up into the 800s, but that whole range for the most part, it's gonna be $350 to about, I would say $650. That's where the majority of those east side listings are. On the west side of town, you're gonna have a lot of properties that are gonna start in the 600s, and they're gonna go up to, they can go up to $3 million bucks, but for the most part, most of your listings are gonna be in that, I would say 600 to 1.3 range. It just depends on where you are and how big your home is. So if you're thinking about making that move, what I would suggest is, one, reach out, just give me a call, shoot me a text, and let's set up a game plan. With new buyers moving in, what I like to do is set up a Zoom call, and what we'll do is we'll get my preferred lender on, me, you, we'll hop on, set up a game plan for finances, timelines, what you can afford, and then from there, we can start home shopping. If you have any other additional questions, like I said, just drop them in the comments or email and text me, it doesn't matter. But hopefully this video just kind of gives you a sense of what to expect on the east side and the west side. And if you guys want to see a breakdown of more neighborhoods, that's coming, so stay tuned. But I really hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell to stay notified. Like this video if it gave you any value, that helps me a ton. And yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.